Welcome everybody to another great day of Pro League here. We do have finally the postseason of Pro League, and we are about to get into the Bronze Challenger match here between KT Rolster and the Jin Air Green Wings.
It's going to be a great day of matches. Now, these lineups have been out for quite some time, which has given each individual player a lot of time to prepare for their best of one. It's essentially an extended regular season day. It's going to be a best of 7, but only 6 players determined. The 7th map will be Echo, where we could potentially have an ace match.
That's right, and we get to see some of the players we don't normally ever get to see come out in those best of 5s in a normal play day, so it's going to be a very exciting one.
We actually saw the 6 players of Jin Air coming in today into the makeup room, and I was like, is that all they have, actually? But then I remember they do have guys like Terminator, Symbol, that aren't coming out today. Didn't quite make the cut here.
Yeah, they're bottom of the battle.
Well, that being said, KT Rolster are definitely the favorite team today by far, especially because their biggest matchups, I feel, kind of are the earlier ones. The ones that KT might, or rather Jin Air might be favored and come a bit later, Maru and Rogue. I think a lot of people are expecting them to do well today, but they have to make it that far first. And it's unfortunate that the first players for Jin Air are going to be players like Trap, who hasn't been the most consistent. Pig Baby, we never see him, and Cure has looked insanely off. So they have to survive until SOS, to then bring out Maru and Rogue.
Then it's going to be SOS trying to defeat Zest, so it could very well be a 4-0 here today.
Yeah, I'm kind of questioning the lineup here for the Jin Air Green Wings for sure. We've seen this happen many times, actually, where they send in Maru in that 4th spot, and they have gotten 3-0'd because of it before. So it's kind of interesting. Maybe they're just comfortable on the map, but even that is kind of interesting because the Rogue coming out on Coda, I wouldn't think that is his best map here.
Well, he's very stylistically, he does very well against Protosses these days, so I'm not too surprised, but it's a shame that he's so far down the list. They really need some stronger players up near the top there where Trap and Pig Baby are. Otherwise, KT are going to get some pretty decent momentum.
Absolutely. We've talked about this time and time again in Pro League. Do these coaches sometimes make mistakes, sending players out just for the map, just for the matchup, but not really taking into consideration the order and momentum? Let's take a look at today's matches. Let's talk about these first 4 specifically. Flash versus Trap. Flash has had a lot more decent results in recent times. TY versus Pig Baby, that's all we need to say. Super versus Cure, this one's a little bit more up in the air because Super hasn't played very many games recently. Cure has played a lot of games recently and lost them. That's why he's got that downwards purple arrow. And then Zest versus SOS. If they lose those first 3, I would say most people would agree Zest, because he's on an 8-game winning streak right now, is highly favored versus SOS.
And then you go to the next one, Light versus Maru. Maru actually getting that downwards purple arrow. We were told that they were going to switch that, actually, to just the most recent 5 official matches. So, kind of interesting that he's purple, especially after he just made the round 4 of GSL.
That's right, and it's interesting seeing Light with an upward arrow as well, because he has not been performing very well for quite a long time now. I certainly give Maru the edge in that match if it gets to that.
Yeah, I think most would agree. Stats versus Rogue, the last match, Stats was looking incredibly solid through the mid parts of this year, say from April to June, but looking a little bit weaker in recent times.
Yeah, and here we do have the regular season ranks of these 2 teams. You can see that KT had a bit of trouble starting off in rounds 1 and round 2, as they did last year as well, and then went on to round 3, round 4, did a bit better, whereas Jin Air is kind of the opposite here.
Yeah, they really bottomed out at the end there, but it really kind of peaked towards the start and mid of the year. And I think it really came down to Maru suffering a lot from his injury and just a slump in general.
Yeah, and Jin Air sent a lot of their players to overseas tournaments as well, which sort of hurt their lineup. So they're sending SOS out, Rogue out. So they had to fill with players like Symbol and Cure that just simply could not compete with the other players. Now here's these opponents' records of each other in regular season, postseason, in the entry format, which is the predetermined format, and the all-kill format. In entry formats, KT Rolster does have the edge, but in the all-kill format, Jin Air, especially being carried by players like Maru, has the edge there.
I don't think it will be the case this time around if they get to the all-kill format, simply because Maru has not been performing like he used to. It could be a big thing to play in this one.
Yeah, and now we're looking at the best 5 player records here. Versus the Jin Air Green Wings here for all the KT players, and of course versus KT Rolster for all the Jin Air players. The first things that stick out are obviously Flash 17-6 versus the Jin Air Green Wings, and then also Rogue on the bottom there, 3-9 versus KT Rolster.
Yeah, a bit of an odd stat there for Rogue. Definitely running into some problems versus Life and some of those pro losses like Zest and Stats. Now, here's some map data for you guys. If you take a look at this, You can see some information about KT Rolster and Generic Greenwing's stats on these maps in particular. There's not a lot to go on. If you want to look at these maps, like for example, Terraform for KT Rolster, you look at it, you might be thinking, oh, there's a Flash, he's meching really well. What's going on with TY? It's actually 5-0 their Protosses on that map.
Yeah, and same with Vani Research. 10 of those wins are from Protoss. So they have a strong Protoss presence on these interesting, like, Terran, usually oriented maps.
Yep, kind of interesting. And also going into the viewpoints here, KT strong in entry format versus Generic strong in all-kill format. Super Pick Baby might be game changers. It will be interesting to see that. And then Zest and Rogue eliminated from GSL, and they only have Pro League now.
Yeah, and I think that, you know, a lot of people might misunderstand that third stat saying like, oh, these guys are not as strong as they used to be. Maybe they're not as good going into these lineups. I think what the stat is trying to say is actually they only are focusing on Pro League, and so they should be even stronger going into this league, where someone like Biel, who just lost in the Starry Finals, now going to the GSL round of 4, playing, you know, potentially next week. He might have some nerve issues. He's trying to focus on other tournaments. At the same time, it's really stressful.
Yeah, it certainly is stressful when a player is so busy with other sort of leagues, and it could have a big sort of effect here today. We'll see how these players perform.
What do you guys predict going into this match? Who do you think takes it? And I guess you don't have to predict the score, but, you know, like, who do you think's favored?
Well, you can predict the score as well. I think that'll be a bit of fun. If I had to say here, in terms of score, if I had to choose, I'd say either 4-0 for KT or 4-3 for KT.
I'm going to go with either 4-0 or 4-2.
I think I'd have to agree with Valdez. I'm leaning more towards the 4-0, but I think it could go 4-3 if it does go to that ace match. If they do make it past the SOS marker, SOS survives them, and then they get into Rogue and Maru. I think that could happen.
There's a lot of dangers there. I'm going to be so surprised if SOS can take Zest, though. And if it's 3-0 by the time Zest plays, it could just be lights out.
Absolutely. We've seen a lot of momentum from KT Rolster in these last few weeks. Part of which from Zest, and you know, TY looking incredible. Flash is on top of the world. Super is a really big dark horse going to this one. A lot of people saying, you know, how well is he going to do? Are they messing nuts this player out? Look at how well Billy did already in the round 4 finals. You look at a player like this. Obviously, he doesn't have the best results. He doesn't get sent out that often, but he's strong. They put him on a map. They put him for a best of 1. Could do really, really well. Cure, on the other hand, I don't expect as much from, to be totally honest with you guys.
Yeah, he hasn't performed in a while, Cure. He's kind of been a disappointing Terran player, just going down and down. So he's going to have to really prove himself today. He's got a good chance against someone like Super, not one of the biggest players from KT, but...
Well, guys, let's jump straight now into a coach interview and see what these two coaches do have to say about the match.
안녕하세요.
먼저 차지훈 감독에게 궁금한 사항을 좀 들어보겠습니다. 휴식기 없이 정말 바쁘게
First to the KT coach.
잠시의 휴식기가
Busy schedule,
생겼는데
2015.
선수들 그리고 감독님 또 어떻게 지내셨는지 궁금하네요.
You had about a week of time to rest. What did you guys do?
중에서 경기 수가 제일 많았었을 거예요. 아마 4라운드 때 선수들이 많이 지쳤었는데
We played the most matches out of any Pro League
정말
team.
꿀 같은 휴가를
outside of us,
보냈고
of course.
재충전을
Our players are
할 수
probably
있는
pretty tired.
알찬 시간을 보냈습니다.
We took a good rest,
강동 감독은 사실
so
4라운드
players were able to recharge a bit before this match.
시즌 올라왔지만
Get ready for the playoffs.
SPL 꺾으면서 완벽하게 분위기를 좀 바꿔놨었는데 최근 팀 내 분위기는 좀 어떤가요?
그 분위기 그대로 이어서 연습 잘 해왔고요. 그 분위기의 모습을 오늘 잘 보여드릴 것 같아요.
We practiced very hard today,
올라와 있을 것 같은데.
and we're going to show that today through today's matches. Sorry, I missed the start of that translation.
So just asking about how they feel after they beat SK specifically in the round 4 finals.
없는 상태인지 한번 알고 싶네요.
선수들이 이제 뭐 연습하면서 빨리 게임 하고 싶고 이제 그 분위기를 깨고 싶지 않아서
bit of a longer
빨리
interview here.
내일 당장
The players were really eager to play again in Pro League.
하고요. 사실 또 워낙 스케줄이 길다 보니까 저희는 4라운드 끝나고도 이제 거의 못 쉬고
And since the playoff schedule is very long,
돌입했는데
the Pro League schedule is very long.
좀더 게임을 더 많이
The players were able to take a rest.
네. 저는 이제 차지훈
So everyone was eager to play the playoffs.
포스트 시즌이 3판 2선승제 엔트리제 2번에 승자연전 1번이잖아요. 근데
네.
앞서서 이현경 아나운서가 소개해 주실 때도
We have 2 entry format matches and 1 all-kill match for this playoff.
근데 엔트리제가 결국은 2번이잖아요. 근데 엔트리에서 조금 약한 모습을 보여주고 있는데
You guys are strong in the all-kill
그거를
format.
어떤 식으로 보완을 하실 건지 좀 궁금합니다.
How are you guys planning to overcome your weakness in the
entry format? If you will, it's a more like a, we like to call it the preset or predetermined.
Yeah.
But that's kind of what it's been called suddenly as the entry format. So it's normally best of 5s in the entry matches, but because it's a best of 7 out, it's going to be a totally different match for us, a different kind of style, because they can bring more players than they normally can. In fact, they're forced to. Also, I feel like our team has quite a few ace players, which KT does lack. A little bit more diversity with their ace players. So we're not actually worried if we have to play both entry matches, of course, today and Wednesday. Wednesday's broadcast may not happen if KT Bolster or Jenna takes it with a 2-0. So a lot of Pro League coming up. You seem a little bit quiet today. How's your spirit? How are you feeling? Kind of nervous right now. I'm not a person that gets nervous very easily. However, SOS has to play in a foreign tournament on the 23rd. So the first and second match with KT are very important, because SOS will have to leave to play that foreign tournament. Again, something we talked about in the weaker roster going into round 4, because they sent those players to so many foreign events. KT coach is also a little bit nervous today. He's a little bit tired. He wants them to win very quickly today.
Wants to erase those nerves.
Yeah.
알겠습니다.
Thinks it's going to be a very interesting match. And I hope so fans look forward to today's match.
차지훈 감독님도 그 진에어가 선수층이 KT보다 조금 더 많잖아요. 선수의 그 수가. 그래서 뭐 하재상 선수라든지 이렇게 선수가 좀 많이 있는데 양희수
So the
선수를
casters are saying that they feel like the Jenner roster has a deeper roster today. Asking the Jenner coach, can you tell us a little bit about why you sent out Pig Baby today?
Shots fired.
해주세요. 네.
Do I have to really answer that question?
자, 뭔가 좀 준비가 되어
Just wait a little bit and you'll see. It doesn't mean like, why do I have to answer that? This is awkward. I didn't mean to, or like he's not that good. He means
I made a mistake. It was like we have to have 6 plays out there, so he had to go out.
He just doesn't want to reveal any strategies, of course. He's like, oh, what a silly question to ask commentators.
Seriously. I mean, Pig Baby's very talented.
It's interesting, he's coming out on Iron Fortress, generally not a Protoss favorite map, and he is going up against TY. So I would have to think that he would want to go for some kind of 2-base or even 1-base all-in, but against TY, who's the master of stopping Protoss all-ins, maybe not the best spot here for Pig Baby.
Yeah, it could just simply be feeding, throwing that map away, putting out a player that might have a shot with an all-in, but beyond that, he's going to waste that TY game and try and just rally behind that. And look at that. Flash heavily favored against Trap. No surprise there at all.
If you look at our votes as well as the Korean commentators' skepticism as to please tell us why you sent Pig Baby out today. Well, this is actually the first match. I'm like getting too far ahead of myself.
Well, we can talk about that as well.
But it's a similar sort of idea here. Flash has a lot better results recently than Trap.
He does. Oh, absolutely. Especially against Protoss. He is doing fantastic work in recent times. Defeated Potting in his GSL group. Defeated Pig Baby in his Codex group before that. So he's doing very well for himself. He's looked so strong.
Yeah. Didn't have the best start to Pro League, of course, but has really turned it on towards the end, which is also, of course, contributing to KT's recent success. So it's been great to have him back. And here is Trap, his opponent.
7-6 this season. Obviously, Trap, a very good player. Definitely coming into his own in Jenner Green. He's having a tougher time back in Seoul, as well as on Incredible Miracle. But now he's in Jenner. He's a more regular piece of the team. It often comes out when you have this extended format or when some players are missing. Not one of the core players every time.
No, it's going to be interesting to see how he does. He certainly doesn't look the strongest in this matchup either.
Look at this cool little CG we got. Flash versus Protoss. Looks like he's 6-3, whereas Trap is 2-2. We also got the recent 10 games in official matches, not against any particular race.
Yeah, it just goes to show, you know, Trap has got some losing streaks littered in there.
Yeah, a lot of losses actually. Look at that, 4 wins to 3 wins to Trap. So that's the opponent record, including unofficial. Favoring Flash, should be heavily favoring him today considering current form.
Well, the map is all loaded up. It looks like we're going to jump straight into game number 1 right now on Echo between Flash and Trap. Down here in the bottom right in the red for KT Rolster, return player, he is Flash. Can you guys explain to me what that is?
I can't recognize this
Is
one.
it upside down?
Up here the top left in green, the starting player for Jin Air Green Wings, it is Trap. That's Hello Kitty, I recognize that one.
All right. Yeah. All right.
Don't hit the Hello Kitty.
Oh. You guys ever go to the Hello Kitty Cafe here in Korea?
No. No, have you, Wolf?
No, I've not.
Oh.
I just,
I think you
I
can
know
tell
it's
us a story.
I know it's
yeah,
a thing.
I was waiting. for
No,
that,
there's no
actually.
story here. I was just curious if you guys went, because I didn't go. Definitely never did.
Sure, man.
Never ever been there.
Oh, man.
Wolf
I
went
tell you,
alone.
I have a prediction for this game that my Observer PC is going to lag the game at some point.
Yeah?
Dropping frames already, man.
I was about to
yeah.
say, that's like a really
Ooh.
strange prediction.
Yeah, strange prediction, but you're going to see, like, SPL2015 lagging at one point. That's me. Just so you guys know at home.
Shout outs to Moonglade. He's here to lag the games today.
Just to slow them down just a little bit so we get more of a look at the analytical side.
We also don't want any quick games here tonight, you know.
We want to really flesh this series out. I want to see this go to game number 7 at least.
Well,
From Australia.
Ellison is a
terrible
person. I think I know that guy. I think he's like pretty cool, actually.
He's a cool guy. He's a legend. Does very well. Runs the Starcraft community down in Sydney.
Seems like a very not terrible person. I
No,
guess.
he's actually like the savior.
I met him in China. He was like really nice. I don't know what to say.
Yeah, that's right. We did. Hey, stand up
Who's
guy.
really the terrible person here? That's the question we should be asking.
Yeah, that guy was hiding his face too. So we just don't even know. We got some more fans.
Oh, man.
Oh, yeah, we wanted to ask you, Wolf. Well, the hair is covered this time by a hat, but we wanted to give an award for best hair of StarCraft for 2015 to that fan on the left. She was also there at GSL on Friday.
I got you. Well, I'd have to judge that a little bit more. I mean, I have to like look at it a little bit harder before I could tell you guys. But let's take a look at the game at hand here. We're gonna have a CC first into eBay block for Flash. So pretty greedy here, but it will delay the Nexus. This is unfortunate for Trap. He does scout the CC. He's gonna harass a little bit, force a few more SCVs off the line. But the eBay block does, put a little bit of a dent in Trap's build, more than this probe scout will, because he's gonna have to keep that zealot. In fact, sending a second probe down. He did keep the zealot, right? Yeah, okay, it's coming down.
Yeah, he has to make a develop in this situation. It will deal with it, but yeah, as you said, everything is kind of slowed down. Flash with a very cruisy build to start things off, and he's going to get away with it.
Very typical Flash style. He's going to be greedy, but at the same time try to annoy his opponents here. And I think he should be okay. He's going for 2 racks very fast. Still no gas. Would not be surprised to see a third one coming down.
Yeah, and he started that bunker in good time. It should be done before that Mothership core, as well as that Zealot gets across the map to harass.
Well, just looking at how Flash has played this matchup in recent times, I'm a bit surprised. In fact, he takes 2 gases this early on. I would have expected him to try to hold a third CC off of 2 barracks. And we do see a Stargate coming back up here for Trap. And he definitely wants to try to punish that type of aggression. I do worry for players like Trap that sometimes assume Flash might go for fast third CC and then go into somewhat delayed Oracle. This is not a very fast Oracle that's coming out here. Because if he doesn't find damage with it, Flash's economies are going to be pretty ahead. He's adding a third barracks now. He does not have that third CC, though, mind you. I much prefer players like Classic who take a fast third Nexus themselves to kind of match this style of Flash. It's had a lot more success versus this very greedy Terran player.
If you're going to go for this kind of Stargate, you probably do want to proxy it against Flash because he does go for that early CC. At this rate, he might be able to get some damage done still. I mean, the Marine count is still very low, and he only did 2 racks instead of the LA3.
Yeah, we're really just going to need Flash to throw down some turrets here and not be overly greedy. He does finish up his eBay, and we do see 1 turret is starting up, so he's going to play it a bit safe so far, just making a couple of blind turrets.
Yeah, I mean, it's perfect in this kind of situation. You're already so far ahead in economy, you can't afford to throw out some turrets.
Ooh, he is going to take a 3rd Nexus with this, though. I really like the way he's playing this. The Mothership Core here is going to try to delay this turret and force the Marines into this specific location, where he might send the Oracle around the backside. The turret will finish, which does mean he has 2 now. He doesn't have very many Marines, only 5, because he was making Marauders instead off of that Tech Lab barracks. He's getting a very fast stim and now combat shields.
Yeah, he still should be fine with this amount of Marines. And his Oracle's going to find its way into the side of that mineral patch, but not going to really find much beyond that.
Yeah, gets 1 kill here, just flying around, delaying some mining on the left side of those patches. This is a very interesting build that we are seeing out of Flash. Lots of infantry upgrades. Going to be a huge army coming across the map very fast. And this may be able to punish the build out of Trap actually here. But Echo, again, one of the best maps to do this on. But at the same time, this build is going to hit very fast.
This is very unlike Flash, to attack this early. I do not think that Trap is going to expect something like this. Of course, he has seen it now. But he needs to react very quickly. He has a lot of energy on this Mothership Core, and he needs to use it wisely.
He's making an extra Oracle as well, which is going to help out. With this small amount of Marines right now, I very much doubt he's going to actually get a cancel on this or really do much damage at all. Potent Overcharge, and a number of units that really help out with some decent force fields.
A bit surprised he decides to take this fight. He could have force fielded the units into the Nexus Cannon, but instead he will chase it down and kill it regardless.
Double Oracle doing major work here. Just not enough infantry. Not enough Marines, I should say, to hold this back.
Hold that. Thought he killed an Oracle with a couple of Marines left over here. And Flash can just keep applying the pressure here because he does have that production already up and running. And with Stim on the way and his upgrades and that later 3rd base, it means he is ahead in production, especially for Army.
Yeah. Combat Shields finishing up, and going to be able to push this back to see if we can kill this Zealot that's warping a bit of an overzealous Zealot there at that pylon to try to deny that turret. But the one thing that's missing for Flash, of course, are his medevacs, but he is getting that out around the same time as the Robo comes up for Trap. So this is going to be a fairly even place for both players. I don't want to give like a massive edge to Flash, but he does have this army to continue to pressure with.
Yeah, we currently have like 3 Zealots, 2 Stalkers, 3 Sentries, and an Oracle against, 2 Marauders, 17 Marines with Stim.
Oh, man. Stim and combat shields, mind you.
That could do a lot of damage if stimmed correctly, and the force fields aren't good here.
Force fields basically have to be perfect. He is warping some more units, though. Flash looking to pull him out of that little nook so that the force fields can't be that great. Maybe also trying to force out some force fields before the fight even begins.
Well, hold that thought. Looking for that Oracle. Not going to find it. Bit of a wasted Stim, to be honest, but I don't think he's going to commit anything further than this.
Yeah, I have to agree that Stim was pretty unwarranted. 3 Sentries full of force fields. This Stim Marine does escape into the main base to see the Forge and the Robo.
Wow.
Look at this guy. That's a tryhard Marine, man. He just barely got in there.
I like that Trap is setting up these warping points. He hasn't found any success with them yet, but he is going to try to harass this 3rd base, which Flash is not repositioned until I say that. The Oracle is going to try to find some reinforcements here, it looks like. There's not much. He's going to grab some Maynarding SCVs. And the Zealot, so far useless here.
No rally point for that medevac. Still no turret in the production line, which could come back to bite him if this Oracle sticks around for much longer.
Also, if DTs come into play, there's that turret there. But, I really like Trap's position actually the longer this game goes on. He just needs to hold on with his 3rd base. He's making a lot of expensive gas, tech units right now, including a Void Ray, which is kind of crazy. But he's trying to switch into getting his Twilight Council up, his range, he's getting Colossi, and adding cannons. But if you look at the worker count, he was up quite a lot, actually, for a really long time. So I do like his position in this game.
Guys, we're having a TY turret being built by Flash. It's happening.
Yeah, I don't know why we're seeing a Void Ray, to be honest, in this kind of composition. It's very rare. It's almost like it's a desperation move. It's like, I've got to get units out no matter what they are at this point. I'm so afraid of what Flash is coming my way.
Yeah, it is a bit strange, especially considering this is not a Marauder-heavy comp. I mean, it's still mostly Marines. It's got a lot of Marauders in it, but it's not the deep Marauder count that you would sometimes see from a player like Maru with a push like this. He just needs to buy time. Again, if he holds on and he can get his Templar Archives up with all the upgrades he's coming out, all the infrastructure he has, he's going to be great, and Flash is pulling back for now.
So he's going to be looking for a drop instead. great sort of spread of pylons around the map, though, spotting out anything that might come his way.
Yeah, we did see some turrets going down, but with even just one Oracle on the map, you can get some nice tags, have a decent idea. I'm not sure if those medevacs are tagged, though.
Oh, look at this. Hallucination's going to scout out those medevacs, I believe. Going to be very close, maybe just missing.
Passing by in the
That
night.
Void Ray is going to be a drop defense unit, though. We have seen this used every now and then before.
And there were 2 cannons there at the third base at the same time. So drop not going to be able to get much damage done. Just going to kill this pylon and back off once again.
Flash looking for his way in there. He's posturing again and again. While he's doing this as well, he's making a lot of Vikings and getting that armory out so he can keep upgrading his units.
Yeah, he needs that. I think he's also probably going to want the +1 for his Vikings. With the 3 barracks he's adding, he's probably going to drop tech labs for those as well and just going to keep cranking out Marauder Viking. And we might see like a 2-2 sort of timing attack from him later if we don't see a Ghost Academy in the next few minutes, because the way he's set up right now is kind of pushing him into a position where if he doesn't take a 4th base or get that Ghost Academy, there's going to be a time where the Protoss army is just better than his overall, so he needs to do something about that.
Especially if he gets Storm out in time, it's going to create a lot of problems for the army in composition of Flash. Just denying all these observers. I like this kind of containment.
Yeah, it makes Oracles the only way to actually figure out the army positioning, especially if you're clearing up the pylons as well. TY really started a trend with this, and I think it's definitely going to continue. It saves so many scans when you do this as well to kill these observers, and you no longer have to worry, oh, did I miss it? If it's in the turret, if it can see your army, it's in the turret range, you kill it with Vikings, end of story.
Yeah, I mean, you're killing all the observers as well, forces them to rebuild those. You take away a ton of vision, which will allow you to get some extra damage done. Hopefully, you know, if you are dropping pretty well after taking out those observers. So overall, it definitely is a, you know, worth investment for sure.
It's just funny to see how desperately Trap tries to scout this sort of army.
Well, hold that thought. He's actually going to be busting on through. He scattered not much here, and a huge counter drop into the natural.
Trap's army is totally out of position. This is going to be a giant drop coming into the natural.
Oh, Colossus is going to be out of position as well.
This is a novice mistake to want to your Colossus back like this into Vikings. You know, it's actually now being completely zoned out. These bio units are in the mineral line. Zealots cannot get any surface area. He tries to merge the Colossi in way too late. This is going to be an excellent trade for Flash.
Boy, another Colossus just comes into the claws of the Vikings, and he's still getting so much damage done here in the nooks of this natural base.
It's actually targeting the Nexus.
Well, he's going to get it down. He's probably going to get out with a lot of his units. Even if he doesn't, he's so far ahead at this point. He traded so well with those Colossus.
Take down so many of the Colossi. He, you know, lost a bunch of units, but it's not going to matter. He has a decent economy back at home. And I don't believe there is Storm up at this point either.
No, I don't think so either. He doesn't have a single Templar on the map. There are Ghosts on the map first, which is another big telling sign that the Tyrant is ahead. Would have been a dream for Flash if on his way out of the natural he could have picked off this newly building 4th base. Because it was so low in hit points, but he only had like 2 Marauders and a Marine left, so it just wasn't going to happen. But he's now in position to try to pick this off, and again, it's still not complete. And he's got EMPs available with this army.
Yeah, it's such an exposed base. It's going to go down for free. Nothing's going to be stopping that. Trap's pretty much just scrambling for an army that might have a chance of dealing with this.
Going to try to poke with these Stalkers. We've seen this many times before. It's just a desperate move. Try to get some units down before the fight does go off. I do like this Warp Prism, but it's not being microed at the same time. Multitasking failing a bit here for a Trap.
He doesn't really have... Yeah, it's out in the middle of nowhere. He's moving it now. It's really up to Flash if he's going to make his move now or he's going to wait for that bigger army. He's nearly maxed out as well.
Notice that Trap has almost no gas bank, which is making his transition to Storm a lot more expensive, a lot more difficult. He is starting Storm now, but with only 2 Templar on the map. If he loses those for any reason or if they get EMP'd when Storm is done, he's not going to have enough energy for anything else. This drop, trying to find an angle here, is just going to drop 1 Zealot here. I like this, splitting it up. Vikings are on the way back. And he's got Ghosts even.
Oh, man. Oh, he's not going to be finding much at all. Still, it's going to put the army out of position, and a counterattack here might be able to deal with that 4th base.
Some units, though, coming back here for Flash. He is going to push away these Stalkers for now. You know, not the most cleanup in the world, but it was pretty decent. Only going to lose 8 SCVs here.
Yeah, that just pretty much means more army at this point. He is essentially maxed out.
Yeah, that 4th base did finish for Flash as well, even though the SCV went down, which is important because now he can actually solidify that position. He's going to make it into a planetary. He's getting +2 for his Vikings. He's basically a set of upgrades ahead of Trap right now because Trap only has 2-1, whereas Flash has the 2-2. Psy Storm here, very important upgrade. But if he can't hold on to this base, Flash can just simply zone out. You know, he just zones out with the high ground here, kills the Observer, now can EMP this army. He's got his Ghost in a decent position here in the middle.
They're clumped together as well. These Templar have to be so careful of EMPs. They go on for the Storm, but it's not the Storm he needed.
Oh, look at this. Giant Warping into the main. We'll see how Flash decides to deal with this. As you said before, he is maxed out. He's going to turn his entire army around now.
Yeah, it's actually completely putting him out of position, giving more breathing space to Trap. He can get out more Templar and try and get the energy he needs for more Storms.
Fortunately, the Zealots weren't microed at the same time here for Trap, so not getting as much damage as they possibly could have, but still Trap going to use this opportunity to go for that 4th.
It was just a simple mistake from Flash was not to make sure he killed that Warp Prism, which still lives, by the way.
Oh, look at this there. He's still in position with most of his army to deal with this huge EMPs.
Yeah, he's just not able to find that engage he wanted. The Zealots trying to buy this, but this is a risky move. Trying to drop these Storms onto the army. It does really do a lot of zoning here for Trap, and he's actually going to have to move back. Flash going to have to move back behind that planetary and land Vikings to deal with this decent EMPs, but he needs more army units up here.
He's getting repair on this planetary at the same time, and it's just not going to be enough. All the Zealots do go down, and those units in the back were pretty heavily EMP'd. In the meanwhile, half of Flash's army was in the main.
Yeah,
exactly.
They're all heavily stimmed as well. They're all in the red at this point, so Flash was really pushing it with those stims. I'm kind of surprised at that, and that Medivac count is pretty low at this point.
Yeah, he's only got 6, but he still has 8 Vikings to the 1 Colossus. He just wants to zone that out. His army is still of overwhelming size at this point in time. It does have the better upgrades. Even the Void Ray actually joining into this fight.
Oh, man.
Some Storms coming down onto those very weak bio units, but not the biggest Protoss army at the same time. That Colossus on about 10 health right now.
The biggest story here is the bank of Trap, excuse me. He can actually keep warping in units. If he had a more forward warping point, this fight would be his, but it looks like he's actually just going to get surrounded and pushed back before those Zealots can join in. Here they come. And this army for Flash is starting to get whittled down, in fact.
Yeah, but there's so many Marauders, and it's mostly Stalkers left over here. They're going to get cleaned up and pushed back, and that army's kind of being annihilated. Not even mining from that 4th base as well.
Yeah, that's going to be a very nice scan for Flash. Give him a bit of safety.
Primo.
He also saw those DTs as well, so he's going to be saving scans for the future. Even though he's down, you know, quite a bit in Harvesters, he's still got 4 bases with the mules that he's been using. And this is just, I think, going to be the beginning of the end here. Let's see if Trap can really find a window.
Well, he's going to try. He's got photon overcharge as well for that 4th base, but so many Marauders and more coming across the map.
There's one DT in the mix doing a decent job here. Still has not been EMP'd or noticed, and with the photon overcharge in some units, he's desperately trying to hold this back. Finally, the EMP comes down.
Way too late, though, and you know what? Trap lives, and more and is being done currently, 7.
Oh, wow.
More SCVs fall.
They're actually so close in supply right now. It's actually kind of ridiculous. A Colossus as well with more warp, and means he might actually hold on to the 4th.
Flash's multitasking is failing him hard right now. He's taking way too much damage for having turrets up at all his bases versus just 2 DTs. And, you know, Trap works his way back into this game.
Yeah, for now. It's kind of surprised he let that happen. Those DTs did way too much damage. Looks like he's just going to wait for his composition to get fixed up and then go for the attack one more time.
DT coming back in here. There will be a missile turret up in time. Will be taken out. That was kind of a sneaky move by Trap, but it is going to be found out.
I want to say that I think this is a very even game, but I almost give like the tiniest of edges to Trap because he has a composition that's hard to prepare for, you know, when you're remaking your medevacs, you're making Vikings. And Flash's multitasking for defending this Faras has just not been there. He's going to lose another turret.
Wow. This is actually getting out of hand. That should not have happened. He should have at least a bunker there at this point, considering how many times run-ins have been happening.
This is not cheap for Trap to do this. If you just spend the money on a bunker for your turret, that's it. That's all you need.
That's it.
I mean, his 3rd base has lost so much of the mining at this point. He's down to 32 SCVs. He does have 3 orbitals, so he's still in this one.
Yeah, the only thing is he's saving all the energy for scans and not mules, so he actually is pretty far behind in economy thanks to the DT tech. And here we go again. He's going to try it one more time here.
I don't think this is going to be enough. There's way too much Protoss here with the better upgrades now.
Even a DT from behind doing a lot of damage. This is actually a horrible place for Flash.
Finally, the scan comes down here, but it may just be too little too late. There's nothing to deal with the Colossi in the back. He's going to try to kite here, but the Blaze Stalkers are on the chase.
Flash's multitasking in this late game was just not there. His defense, or rather his lack of defense, is what's going to cost him this game. Trap has kind of cleared this out at this point. He's cleaned up most of the arm. Even 2 Stalkers over here behind the range of the planetary, finding more and more SCV damage.
Wow, he's just going to actually do, at least wipe out half that line with 2 Stalkers. Nothing Flash can do about it at this time. He's just getting pushed further and further back with a pretty weakened army and horrible composition.
And he can't really afford to be losing any SCVs at this point in time. Just desperately trying to hold on, but Trap doing a nice job pole positioning out here, just sending in a couple of Zealots to get this army out of position and then go for the fight.
That's exactly what he's going to do. He's got just enough Zealots up here at the front to buffer. The Archon's doing the damage. GG, Trap takes it, takes game 1.
Huge upset there.
And Flash with all the early advantages as well. They just simply should not have happened this way.
Yeah, he fell apart in a big way with all these run-bys. Just a really disappointing mid to late game from Flash. This stuff should never have happened. He should have had a bunker at these bases. Zealots, DTs should never have done that kind of damage and pretty much ruined his momentum.
Yeah, I mean, it all really started, first of all, with that first War Prison. We were saying it's up in the top right. He's not really microing it, but he finally gets it into the main. But then Flash doesn't kill it. So it comes back, draws his entire army back, and then by the time he gets across the map again, DTs are on the map, and he just can't deal with it from there. Maybe he was just getting overwhelmed at that point.
Yeah, I have to say, one of the things that this game shows me, furthering what we saw in the coach interview, is that everybody is really nervous. Like, we're watching Colossi get 1-8 into the natural while Vikings are waiting. No redirect. The reinforcing Colossi follow the same path. We're watching Flash not make bunkers, not make walls, not have units at home.
There were times in that game where I was questioning whether or not we were watching a Korean PvT or not. I swear to God, I'm like, whoa, what is going on? This is just not what we're used to seeing out of these 2 players.
Disappointing start. From both teams, a little shaky. Let's hopefully the nerves kind of fix themselves. But Flash looking very disappointed, as he should be. I mean, this guy has been defeating the players like DJ Hero in recent times in this matchup. Then to fold a trap like this, kind of embarrassing.
Now, Flash is one of those players, though, like Innovation, that's all about the timing pushes and getting that lead and kind of snowballing it and finishing the game. And I think he got a bit of tunnel vision in that game and kept just trying to win and just trying to wear a trap down. But just did not invest enough in his defense, in his harassment defense, dealing with those run-bys, those DTs and Zealots, which Trap had from the beginning as his plan to pick Flash apart. So good preparation by Trap, realizing that this is one of the weaknesses of Flash's play.
Well, the next map we are going to have here is going to be between TY and Pig Baby. Of course, even the other casters down there, the Koreans, were asking, why Pig Baby? Why is he coming out?
Well, we'll see. I mean, he might have a sniper build. He might be completely prepared for TY's style. He is kind of obvious with how he plays these matchups. He loves his command center first. Though on this map, it might not be the case, but still, he might have something up his sleeve. And if not, then TY should be heavily favored to win this one.
I would agree. Pig Baby is one of those players who's known to be cheesy, known to be very aggressive. He is a WCS America champion. He does have a lot of experience playing against lots of different types of styles. And similar to what we saw with Billowy, I have to say, don't sleep on this guy. He could take a win. He could take an upset. Trap already just beat Flash. So I think absolutely agree with you. TY very favored in this, but Pig Baby could do something crazy. You never know.
I mean, anything can happen in a 1v1, or rather a best of 1 here, of course. I mean, we've said it before, TY one of the best at holding off of any type of all-in push, but, maybe today he's also nervous. He's not on his game, and Pig Baby comes out with something we haven't seen before, and then all of a sudden we're 2-0 Genera. I think really anything could happen at this point.
That would be such an upset as well, considering everyone was looking at this like it could be a 4-0 for KT if everything goes their way, and it's kind of favored to do so. At this rate, maybe the Genera really came very well prepared, looking to take out these players, these important players like Flash and TY.
Yeah, going back to the nerves, talking about the coach interview, we saw the Genera coach was like clearly kind of flustered when they asked him about Pig Baby. He's like, I'm not telling you anything. Keep in mind, Jenner in round 1, round 2, and round 3, each round they went to the finals and lost. The Jenner coach, one of the most emotional coaches in Pro League. We've seen him actually, after a win, even get really emotional and tear up because he loves his team so much. He cares so much about this team. So I feel like he's taking this very seriously.
Yeah, maybe even a bit of offense taken as well. Like he's asked, why Pig Baby? He's like, why not Pig Baby? This guy's actually pretty good in the team house. What do you know?
It's true. We just don't know, but we just don't see him that often. He was a fantastic player. He had a lot of